I'm hungry.
Peanut allergy sufferers beware! This is more peanut than you can handle! Shake hands with Margaret Holmes' Peanut Patch Green Boiled Peanuts! This is a tasty delicacy in the South. Green peanuts are boiled in salt water, releasing hidden flavors and nutrients from within the shell, softening the nut and giving off a unique flavor. Guaranteed fresh, and a helpful ingredient in many larger dishes.
You know, I realize I haven't been the happy host you guys may be used to by now. But this particular show, I feel extra perturbed, like, to the point where I don't even want to go on with this. Perhaps I should explain. A few episodes back, you might recall that I went through a horrible ordeal. I finally reviewed that dirt soda, and the anxiety was enough that it brought me back to the Beef Lodge, and through some real languid David Lynch pacing, spent a good amount of time trapped there. I'd say a few thousand lifetimes or so. It was through blood, sweat, tears, and much perseverance I was able to get back here. I ask you all just to take a few seconds and think to yourselves what that meant to been like for me! It may be the greatest journey I will ever have. And today, I got a Facebook message from a longtime viewer named... Well, to be honest, he changes his name all the time, so I'll just call him from now the Most Serious Duelist. He told me that YouTube had showed my horrible voyage on the channel like I knew they would, but something happened in the upload, and the sound was all out of sync. I went through all of that, and the sound was out of sync! So I checked, and yeah, it looks like utter crap. During the review portion too, the portion with the most dialogue, can you believe that? I checked my video file, it looked perfect, not a thing wrong with it. So, what to do? I pulled it, and I tried to repost it later. I did just that, and wouldn't you know, the error, it appeared again, in the exact same place! So, I pulled it again. And as of press date, I have no idea what I'm going to do with it. I'm just sitting on it, like Vince McMahon on his golden egg! This was a huge channel event. I've been building up to this for well over a year. Everything was set to go off perfectly, and you guys can't see it! This is very much the way everything goes on the channel, doesn't it? I carefully plan to have things work out a certain way, and by all jungle laws they should, but for some reason it completely out of my control backfires! Oh look, this marks the end of all Ranma's one-half profiles. No, it doesn't. Here's some more. Oh look, here's the final episode of Cartoon Limbo! No, it isn't. There's another. Should I just stop planning big events? What the hell's gonna happen when I finally check out of this joint, huh? You gonna screw that up for me too, YouTube? Every plan that I make is thwarted by sudden, inexplicable, spontaneous bullshit! I dread whatever fate is about to befall me on this channel, but maybe I should welcome it. I know something big is around the corner. What are you doing on the table? That would be the operative theme, but you're toying with a ticking time bomb right now, so are you quite done? Why do you smell like shit? Thank you for your contributions, Squinkies! Speaking of inexplicable, there are tons of things in this world that, to me, defy explanation. How did we create the internet? When I upload a video, where does it go? How did human beings discover how to pasteurize milk? How does some bacon stay good on a shelf without having to be refrigerated? These are the kind of thoughts that keep me awake at night. And here, today's food item, Peanut Patch Original Boiled Peanuts. fits right on in there. First off, look at this picture. I'm seeing peanuts in what appears to be a delicious creamy sauce, but with the shell still on them? How does that work? It's like making a banana split with the damn peel still on it. Am I supposed to eat the shell? Does this warm, creamy mucilence somehow make the inedible edible? Is it like some types of chicken bones where instead of weeding them out, it's easier just to chomp down on them? I hate that, by the way. I'm sure I hate this too if that's the case. You ever accidentally get a peanut shell in your mouth? It's like sucking on a dirty old wine cork that's fragmenting and turning into wet dust in your mouth. Well, I guess there's no booms about it. I'm gonna have to go into the kitchen. We're gonna have to go into the kitchen together. And we're gonna have to try to make sense of this tangled mess that has been presented before us. Because that's the way we do it on this show. We don't do research, we just figure it out on the fly. I guess you could call it a taste adventure. Haven't I been on enough adventures on this show? If I go on this adventure, are you gonna film it? What good is an adventure if my speech doesn't even match my lips? Stupid YouTube.
Delicious MALPEENUH! I can't wait to eat some delicious MALPEENUH! MALPEENUH! Can you smell the MALPEENUH? I can smell the MALPEENUH.
I guess it's done? Who would know?
Alright, let's go eat some MALPEENUH.
This is the way my brain comes up with trying to make sense of it all. I'm just turning it into my own thing. Sue me. TBH, I expected a little bit more than this. What? Huh? I left the burner on. You know what? So I left the burner on. Good! I hope the whole place burns down! Maybe YouTube will screw that up too and it'll be like it never happened! Anyway, like I was about to say, I expected more from this. There's no sauce here. There's no rich creamery sauce. There's no brine like it said on the can. This is just water. So it's just wet peanuts and water? What the hell do I even do with that? First off, I'm gonna try to eat the shell. No. No, you're not supposed to eat the shell. Ugh. Making it in a frying pan definitely does not make the shell edible, which is really strange because that's where all the surface area is. That's what all this flavorful brine, as they say, is touching. It's not touching what's on the inside of the shell. So what's the whole point of the brine? It makes no sense. I can't think of a single situation where you would soak a peanut shell in brine, can you? I mean, I thought, as I've always been taught, peanut shells are kind of dirty. I mean, when they farm peanuts, they pluck them out right out of the soil. They've got all sorts of dirt all over them. Whenever you see peanuts in mass at like a bar atmosphere or like a Texas Roadhouse or something like that, there's always that musty smell in the air around them. When you crack them up, it has that layer of like dust that flies up. When you look at a peanut shell, you constantly see tiny little specks of dirt like caught in the crevices and there's like little scuff marks where they've been like handled by the farmers. And you want to soak that and preserve it in a delicious brine? You're not eating the peanut shell, you're eating the meat within. I don't understand. Is it for people who don't want that dusty residue all over their hands when they crack open a peanut? I've never in my lifetime bumped into somebody who's had a problem with that. But okay, so you have a problem with that. Now you're gonna have wet hands as you're cracking open soaking wet peanuts. That's even worse. Ugh, imagine, if you will, a bar where nobody is allowed to shake anybody else's hand. That's what you got right here, because no one's gonna want to, because your hands are gonna be all wet and nasty from handling these nuts. The wetness doesn't seem to make the shells any softer. You still gotta pry them open pretty hard. Let's see what it did to the nuts. The nuts are a little softer, if you can believe that. But yeah, I mean, this is very, very messy. My hands are very cold and wet. I'm gonna let you know what it tastes like, if it tastes any different than a regular peanut. You know what it does? That flavor that you get in the peanut shell, it kind of like shocks through the shell and permeates into the nut. So if you want that disgusting, dried up shell taste within your peanut, that's what it does. It transfers it from the outside to the inside. It certainly does make the nuts nice and soft. Do you want that? Do you want your nut to crumble in your hands as you're trying to eat it? I don't. I like my nuts to have a nice crunch. Since when have people complained about nuts being too crunchy? But yeah, I mean, you try to eat it, it like melts in your mouth, and it doesn't taste like a peanut anymore. It just tastes like the outside tissue. And if you thought that this nut being moist and squishy in your mouth meant that it was gonna have all those dry little flaky parts, you're gonna have more of them in your mouth than ever before. Like I said, it feels like, you know, that tiny little layer that's around the nut? Like that tiny little, like it's a little skin that you have to peel off? It almost becomes fused with the nut. There's no way you're gonna get it off. Most people don't eat that. Here, you have no choice. You have to eat it. And it just forms like this web that like hugs the nut with a death grip. Even if you had like a screwdriver, you couldn't chisel it off because you're gonna mutilate the nut. You have to eat it. And it's a horrible, horrible taste. I think I'd sooner be eating those jelly beans again. I picture it's like shop class, and you just did a lot of standing and a lot of table sawing, and there's sawdust all over the floor, and some bozo who is in charge of cleaning the place doesn't even bother sweeping up. He just goes right to the mop, and he mops all that sawdust to the corners of the building. You just see clumps like a perimeter of sawdust all over the shop class. Suppose you just take a scoop of that and you put it on an ice cream cone and lick it. It's kind of what this tastes like. I suppose this is indicative of the kind of food that you will get at a dollar store, because this kind of food is really common to find there. So if I were to give this a star rating, good Lord, I'm trying to think if there's any advantages to this. Cold, wet hands, nasty taste. It's dirty, it's filthy, it's wet, and it's dry. It's trying to take all the negatives from eating peanuts and turn them into positives, but just making them into worse negatives? Good Lord. I'm trying to say in my mind 1 star, but I keep thinking to myself, what here is worth a star? You know what? I'll give it a half a star because I have to give it a little bit of credit for at least being edible. But it's barely that. Uh-oh, bad news everybody. The 12th annual potato sack race has been canceled because TJ Clive ate all of the potato sacks. Delicious burlap goodness. Hey, you kids down in high school, you know the rope that you climb up in gym class? You know why it's all wet? Because I licked it. And I would understand that maybe in some bizarre cases, like the wetness might help if it was a good kind of wetness, but this is a bad kind of wetness. This is like, I don't know, if you were to get like a whole bunch of hay from the farm and put it in a blender and puree it, and it comes out, it's still all dry, so the only thing you have to moisten it is a horse's wet teeth. It doesn't taste like the moist treat that they wanted it to. It tastes like a dry, dry, dry treat with droplets of moisture just resting on top of it. This thing couldn't be any drier. It's as dry as the Mojave. I feel like I just licked a heavy bag. I feel like I just ate the Velveteen Rabbit. I feel like I used my tongue to mop a dirty rug. Any way you slice it, the dryness of peanuts and the moisture of salted brine was a match made in hell. I'm sure Beetlejuice and Lydia Dietz are looking at this relationship and saying, you could benefit from some counseling. So this is your good buddy DJ Clyde bidding you all adieu here on another random episode of Limbo Grub. As random and spontaneous as boiled peanuts. That's a new saying patented by me. Be sure to use it in your everyday speech. As for me, I don't know what's going on here. This YouTube business was an unforeseen wrinkle. As if I don't already have enough bad shit going down, right? What is it, you two? Are you trying to soften the blow for me? Like the folks at Peanut Patch tried to soften these shells, huh? You want me to welcome that creature that's gonna come through that door and snipe me? Well, guess what? It's not helping. In fact, it's just more misery compacting atop the piles and piles of misery I already have. I'm still nervous as hell waiting for whatever the hell is coming through that door. Please, you two, don't make this harder than it needs to be. If I'm going to suffer, make sure that my viewers can see and hear it properly. Can you do that? Damn, man, who else has these problems? I suck.
Or my name isn't BJ Clive!
Oh good, I found a fire extinguisher!